Third part. The Wanderer. It was around midnight that Zarathustra started his route over the ridge of the island, in order to arrive at the other coast by early morning. For there he intended to board a ship. At that location there was safe harborage where even foreign ships liked to anchor. These would take the occasional passenger who wanted to cross the sea from the Blessed Isles. Now as Zarathustra climbed up the mountain he thought as he traveled about his many lonely wanderings since the time of his youth, and about how many mountains and ridges and peaks he had already climbed. "I am a wanderer and a mountain climber," he said to his heart. "I do not like the plains and it seems I cannot sit still for long. And whatever may come to me now as destiny and experience, it will involve wandering and mountain climbing. Ultimately one experiences only oneself. The time has passed in which accidents could still befall me, and what could fall to me now that is not already my own? It merely returns. It finally comes home to me, my own self and everything in it that has long been abroad and scattered among all things and accidents. And I know one more thing. I am standing now before my last peak and before what has been saved for me for the longest time. Indeed, I must start my hardest path. Indeed, I have begun my loneliest hike. But whoever is of my kind does not escape such an hour, the hour that speaks to him, only now do you go your way of greatness. Peak and abyss, they are now merged as one. You go your way of greatness. Now what was formerly your ultimate danger has become your ultimate refuge. You go your way of greatness. Now it must be your best courage that there is no longer a way behind you. You go your way of greatness. Here no one shall sneak along after you. Your foot itself erased the path behind you. And above it stands written, impossibility. And if now all ladders should fail, then you must know how to climb on your own head. How else would you climb upward? On your own head and over and beyond your own heart. Now what is mildest in you must become hardest. Whoever has always spared himself much gets sick in the end from so much coddling. Praised be whatever makes hard. I do not praise the land where butter and honey flow. It is necessary to look away from oneself in order to see much. This hardness is needed by every mountain climber. But whoever is importunate with his eyes is a seeker of knowledge. How could he see more of things than their foregrounds? But you, Zarathustra, you wanted to see the ground and background of all things, and so you must climb over yourself, upward, until you have even your stars beneath you. Yes. Look down on myself and even on my stars. Only that would I call my peak, that remains to me as my ultimate peak. Thus Zarathustra spoke to himself as he climbed, comforting his heart with hard sayings. For he was sore in his heart as never before. And as he came to the top of the mountain ridge, behold, there lay the other sea stretching before him, and he stood still and silent for a long time. But at this altitude the night was cold and clear and bright with stars. I recognize my lot, he said at last, with sorrow. Well then, I am ready. Just now my ultimate solitude began. Oh, this black sad sea beneath me. Oh, this pregnant nocturnal moroseness. Oh, destiny and sea. Now I must descend to you. Stand before my highest mountains and before my longest hike. Therefore I must descend deeper than I ever climbed before. Descend deeper into suffering than I ever climbed before, down into its blackest flood. My destiny wills it so. Well then, I am ready. Where did the highest mountains come from? Thus I once asked. Then I learned that they come from the sea. This testimony is written into their stone and onto the walls of their peaks. From the deepest the highest must come into its height. Thus spoke Zarathustra at the pinnacle of the mountain, where it was cold. But as he came near to the sea and stood at last alone among the cliffs, then he had grown weary from his travels and felt even greater longing than before. "Everything is still sleeping," he said. "Even the sea sleeps. Drunk with sleep, and strangely it looks at me. But it breathes warmly, that I feel. And I also feel that it is dreaming. Dreaming it tosses on hard pillows. Listen, listen. How it moans with evil memories, or evil forebodings. Yes. I am sad along with you, you dark monster, and for your sake annoyed even with myself. Oh, that my hand does not possess sufficient strength. Gladly indeed would I redeem you from evil dreams." And as Zarathustra spoke thus, he laughed at himself with melancholy and bitterness. "What, Zarathustra?" he said. "Do you want to sing comfort even to the sea? Oh, you loving fool Zarathustra, you who are over-blessed with trust. But you have always been so. Always you came trustingly to all that is terrible. You wanted to caress every monster. A hint of warm breath, a bit of soft shag on the paw, and already you were prepared to love it and lure it. Love is the danger of the loneliest one, love of everything if only it lives. Laughable indeed are my folly and my modesty in love." Thus spoke Zarathustra, and he laughed once again. But then he remembered the friends he left behind, and as if he had violated them with his thoughts, he became angry for his thoughts. And suddenly the laughing one began to weep. For wrath and longing Zarathustra wept bitterly.